company like Microsoft is transforming not just technology, but their culture. So cultural transformation is an important thing as well. A lot of you might be wondering why Microsoft and open source. Maybe I can start with by explaining myself.
Some are having a hard time hearing you. Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, speak loud. Thank you.
Okay. Is that good? Okay. So I've been in open source for a very long time. Prior to Microsoft, I was working for Red Hat. How many of you know Red Hat here? So almost all of you. So Microsoft started some change, but I'm going to be talking to you about that. So my first question would be, again, how many people here are technical? Just a show of hands. Okay. How many people out of those technical people do not use open source products? Just 2 hands that I can see. So this is basically the main reason why a company like Microsoft is focusing on open source. So this is the trend. This is what startups are actually looking into. This is what enterprise companies are actually looking into as well. So as you can see here, if a company is not already working with open source products, they have a strategy of going towards this motion. How many people know about our cloud called Azure? Some of you might even know this because of our startup programs in the past, giving some credit towards this as well. I'm not a part of that, but we have a friend, one of my colleagues here, Serkan. Can you raise your hand? So he's from the startup program from Microsoft, so afterwards you can reach him if you have any questions around startup programs within Microsoft, etc. So why Azure? Azure is, for us, where we start our innovation. So we have a cloud-first model where we try to bring innovation first within the cloud and then go downwards. So everything we create starts with the cloud. That's why Azure. Okay. How many of you know this guy? Satya Nadella. So this is one of the reasons why I've joined Microsoft, this guy. Around 2014, he became the CEO, and he changed the company into a direction that was 180 degrees. So a company where once was calling Linux a cancer, now says they love Linux. So it's all because of this guy. And since that, there are, Okay, thank you. Yes. So he has a good quotation here. You have to judge us not by just things being done in the past. So you have to look into the near future and going forward. So if you see a company or someone trying to help you going into a right direction and continue going there, you will want to work with them. So what has happened since 2014? Since we've said we love Linux, we've done many things. We've joined many of the open source foundations. We created the .NET Foundation. We've joined the Linux Foundation, the Cloud Native Foundation. Every foundation that you can see innovation happening within the open source community, we're a part of. And the big part of that happens with GitHub. So you might be hearing things about acquisition of GitHub, etc. That might be happening. But acquisitions are not the only thing you should be looking into. You should be looking into what's actually being done in places like GitHub. So if you look into our messaging here, we have released tons of software that we've integrated into the community. We've gone into community projects like the Linux projects and submitted thousands and thousands of lines of code. Submitted engineers actually paid Microsoft engineers that work in these projects. And you can judge that by the things done in GitHub. So since 2014, these are the amount of commits being done within GitHub. So our judgment will be by the end of this year. This is a pretty old slide, so it will be close to 2 million lines of commits being done in GitHub by Microsoft. And this is being done by around 5,000 Microsoft employees that are committed to working in community projects and projects that we're submitting into the community. There are 3 pillars of working with open source, actually, as you can see here. You have to be innovating, you have to be contributing, and you have to be enabling. By innovating, you create projects as a company, and you submit these projects to the community so they can use, change, or help build. One of the biggest projects here that almost everyone I've met loves is the VS Code project. It's the #1 project on GitHub. How many of you are developers? How many of you use VS Code? I see the same hand still up. So if I see people, if I see a person that has not used any Microsoft product, they have definitely used VS Code. So this shows that we can actually innovate and help the community. And you can see other closed source things that Microsoft kept to themselves in the past, like TypeScript, etc., PowerShell. These projects are now open source as well within GitHub. You could find them, help, and contribute as well. I talked a little bit about contribution. Just by creating products and putting it in the community, that's not enough. You have to be working with the community with existing projects as well. This is the similar model that Red Hat is also taking. Both companies have tons of engineers, thousands of engineers, working 100% for community projects. Because if you don't find companies like us helping the community and supporting the community, projects like this start to fail. And when they fail, you just lose a nice product. Some of you might even have your own projects up in GitHub, I assume. Yeah. And enabling. Enabling is another part that helps us reach the customer and help them as well, and help the developers as well. What does a developer want today? They want to be agile, fast. They don't want to be tied to procedures, operations, etc. They want to write their code and go to the market as fast as they can. And by enabling them with as-a-service features, like, for example, you need a MySQL database or a Postgres database. Having these readily available for people like developers to use enables them actually, like in this aspect as well. You might be looking into big data projects like using HD Insight with Hadoop. You might be running Spark clusters to do some analysis, etc. You don't need to be actually installing these anymore. Companies like us are now trying to create ways to enable you to have these tools as fast as you can. So this is the enablement part. I bet a lot of you know the products here. Most of the open source ecosystem. This is just to show we are actually working with the community, but this is just a small piece of what we're doing, we're working with. But this is to show we're working in all layers, like in DevOps, management, infrastructure, etc. But just saying we support is not enough. Just to give you an example, let's say Red Hat. The partnership between Microsoft and Red Hat gives you options like getting support for products like Linux, OpenShift for containers, container orchestration, in a unified way. So if you were to open a case to either Red Hat or Microsoft, that falls into a single pool. And most of the time, it's being solved by Red Hat and Microsoft engineers that sit in the same building. So this is unprecedented support that the other cloud providers currently do not have. And we try to do this with most of these products you see here. SUSE, Pivotal, etc. So, another way to enable you is the Cloud Society that we have. This is an initiative started in this region, the MEA region, the Middle East and Africa region. And it's actually an education portal that all of you can go in and register and get free trainings on all of the pillars that I showed you before. It could be DevOps, Linux infrastructures. We work with companies like the Linux Foundation to give you these free trainings. So this is just a platform to offer to you or developers or technical people, or even if you're not technical, you can bring this information back to the technical people in your organization that will be able to benefit from this. Just some links that you can see here. open.microsoft.com. This is sort of like a blog site to show what we're doing currently within open source. The next link you see here, opensource.microsoft.com. This is a list of the projects we're contributing into, mainly in GitHub. And then cloudsociety.microsoft.com. I would like to thank you for listening, and you can take notes for this. And like I said, if you have questions about startups and how startups manage are being helped by Microsoft, either by Microsoft Ventures or our startup programs, you can reach Serkan, or you can find him with the mobile app. From if you just type in Microsoft, you'll see his name. So thank you very much.